Walk through the cobblestone streets of 1776 Philadelphia, and you'll find a city vibrating with the fever of revolution. In a small upholstery shop on Arch Street, Elizabeth Betsy Ross was a woman of extraordinary resilience. Recently widowed after her husband died in a gunpowder explosion while serving in the local militia, Betsy was a professional businesswoman at a time when that term barely existed for women. She wasn't just a seamstress, she was an artisan of fabric. The legend we all learned in elementary school tells us that in June 1776, George Washington walked into her shop with a rough sketch of a flag and asked her to sew the soul of a new nation. According to the story, Betsy looked at his design for a six-pointed star and suggested a five-pointed one instead, demonstrating her skill by folding a piece of paper and, with a single snip of her scissors, producing a perfect star. But here is where the history gets fascinating. If you look for a paper trail from 1776, you won't find a receipt for the first flag or a diary entry from Washington mentioning Betsy. In fact, the story of Betsy Ross wasn't even known to the American public until 1870, nearly a century later, when her grandson, William Canby, presented the tale to the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, based on family oral traditions. Does that mean it's a total myth? Not necessarily. While historians credit Francis Hopkinson, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, with the actual design of the flag, Betsy Ross was a real person with documented ties to the Continental Congress. Records show she was paid significant sums for making ships' colors, naval flags for the Pennsylvania Navy. She was a high-volume, high-quality producer in the middle of a war zone. The Betsy Ross we celebrate today represents more than just a seamstress. She represents the thousands of women who fueled the revolution from their own living rooms. While Washington was on the battlefield, women like Betsy were managing businesses, supporting the economy, and literally stitching together the symbols of liberty. Whether she took the first stitch or the 500th, the Betsy Ross house remains a monument to the American spirit. The fact remains, she was a grit-filled entrepreneur who survived 3 husbands, raised 7 children, and ran a successful business for decades in a male-dominated world. That is the true American fact, a story of a self-made woman who became a legend, not just by chance, but through her undeniable craft.